Happy Thursday, everybody. Just so you guys know, Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Could work so you guys can retake the test or take the test. So you could take the test from Thursday, April 30th from 8 a.m. all the way to Friday night at midnight. So you guys have a little less than 2 days to complete it. And if you have any questions or concerns, shoot me an email and we can discuss it. Today's assignment is going to be about completing the square. So what I wanted to do first is kind of give you a visual of what exactly is happening here. So as you can see in the pictures, we have an x squared piece, we have an x piece, and we have a 1 piece, otherwise known as a unit piece. So let's start off with the x squared piece. If we were to draw a square, and the square had one side which was x, and the other side was x times x would give us x squared, and that's why in the center we call it the x squared piece. The red rectangle is going to be the x piece because we know that length is x, so on the red rectangle we also know it to be x, and here we're going to make this 1 unit long, so 1 times x is going to give us the x. And then last is just the 1 unit. 1 times 1 is 1. You guys can kind of clearly see that. So in the image below, what I have there are a bunch of units, a bunch of x's, and only one x squared. So what I want to do is I want to write this out. So as I write it out, we have one x squared piece, and then we have 6 x pieces. There are 6 red rectangles. So we have 6 x's, and then if you count the green squares, we have 6 of them. So it's a total of 6. So what we want to do is we want to complete the square. And what do we need to complete the square? It's missing right over there, and we need 3 more units. So if we simply added 3 more units, we have technically completed the square. So how do we know to get the number 9? Where does that come from? And a quick way to figure that out is we can take b, we can divide it by 2, and then we can square it. So in this case, if you look at the red rectangles, we had 6 x's. So in this case, and we also have it over here as well, we know b is 6. And what's 6 divided by 2? The answer is 3. And what is 3 squared? The answer is 9. How many green squares do we need in order to complete the square in the original image? And the answer was 9. And I'll just give it a quick little highlight. There should be 9 squares over there. So again, what do? We take b, we divide it by 2, and then we square it to get our answer. And that is today's lesson. So, starting with the problems in purple or pink, in this case, what we want to do is we want to take b. b is 10. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. And we want to square that. So 5 squared is 25. So we want this number here to be 25. So we can very simply add 25 there. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So now we have x squared plus 10x plus 25 equals 49. Now this looks like a problem we can solve. So we set this up like we've done in the past. A times c is 25, b is 10. And notice it's the same number, 5 and 5. So we now have x plus 5 times x plus 5, or x plus 5 squared. And that is equal to 49. In order to get rid of the square root like we did in the last lesson, we can take the square root because the square root and the square cancel each other out. So we're left with x plus 5 And the square root of 49, if you remember, is plus or minus 7. So we subtract 5 on both sides. And we have negative 5 and negative 7 is negative 12. And then negative 5 plus 7 is 2. Those are our two solutions. On the right side, we have negative 12. So what we want to do is we want to divide that by 2 and square it. So we then get negative 6 squared, and negative 6 times negative 6 is 36. So we want this number to be 36. So what we have to do is we have to add 32 to 4 to make it 36. So everything else stays the same. And then you add 32 to the other side. And here we have to solve it. So we're looking for two numbers that multiply to 36 and add up to negative 12. And when we complete the square, it's going to be the same number twice. So x minus 6 times x minus 6, or x minus 6 squared, is equal to 32. The next thing we can do is take the square root of both sides. I'm talking to my class. I know. So we take the square root of both sides, the square root cancels the square, and we're left with x minus 6 on the left side. Yes, I can do pink. And we have the square root of 32. My daughter wants pink, so we're going to do pink now. Thank you. So the square root of 32, what two numbers multiply? We have 16 times 2, and 16 is 4 times 4. And since we have two of the same number, it can go to the outside, and we now have 4 times the square root of 2. So we now have 4 root 2. And then we can add 6 to both sides, and we get our answer. 6 plus or minus 4 times the square root of 2. And you're done. We'll do one more problem, and then we'll call it a day. All right, so for this question, again, we're going to take negative 2, we're going to cut it in half, and we're going to square it. And here's the formula again in case you need to see it again. So negative 2 divided by, negative 2 divided by 2 is going to give us negative 1. I think I just misspoke, but what you see is correct. And negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1. So we want this number that doesn't exist to say 1. So we can add 1 here and add 1 there. Then we can factor. A times C is 1 and B is negative 2. And again, it's always going to be the same number. So negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1, and negative 1 plus negative 1 is negative 2. So we now have x minus 1 2 times is equal to 6. It's getting repetitive, but the square root and the square will cancel each other out, and we're now left with x minus 1 is equal to the square root of 6. We add 1 to both sides, and we are done with this assignment. Or lesson. The assignment is going to be posted on KudoWorks, and if you guys have questions, again, please shoot me an email. Hope all is well, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.